FenceFast. We're here today. We're going to show you how to go through and do a service on an ST400 Pneumatic Fence Stapler. This is STOCKade ST400. This kit is your rebuild service kit. Comes as a one unit. Included in this kit is your O-rings to replace inside the tool, as well as a complete trigger assembly. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up pulling this head off this tool, and we're going to go down here and we're going to replace all these O-rings in the engine that are wear O-rings. We'll also show how to replace the trigger kit as well. So this is our tool. What we need to do is take the head off of this tool. So I'm going to get out the right size Allen key here. That's too big. There we go. So there's 4 bolts on the top here that I need to take out. Just might want to hold this down a little bit because it does have a little bit of spring tension to it. So I'm just going to work my way around evenly and just work all 4 of these bolts out. And you can see the heads lifting back up. Okay, now we have all 4 of these loose. I can just lift this head off of here, and I'm just going to set this down over here. Take this out, put it on a nice piece of paper towel, keep it clean. Remove my piston. Set my piston down. Now you can see inside the tool here. Now if this isn't too yellow. If this is really, really dark and brown, it's probably getting brittle and you're going to want to replace it. We've only ever seen that in a couple of tools. It usually happens when you're using alcohol or methyl hydrate in your compressor system. So we do recommend, if you are operating in cold weather, please use our cold weather lubricant. That'll help keep everything in here working better. This is a bit of a trick. You gotta right off the top and set it out. There it goes. Takes a little bit to work that loose. You can see this is quite grimy inside still, so we're going to do cleanup on that as well. You can see there's some grime inside there, so we're going to clean that out as well too. Last couple things that come out are your bump stops at the bottom here. Oh, that's good. We're just going to set that aside for now. 4 bolts. I'm using a little magnetic base to put all those in so I don't lose them. This is my poppet valve. So this is actually your exhaust valve that allows your trigger mech to come back up again. We're going to disassemble this one down as well. It's a little metal band on the top of here. You want to make sure that's not broken and in good condition. You can just leave it on the top there for now. Our spring, there's a little metal piece in there as well. Right. 3 O-rings there that we will show you how to replace in a bit. This here, you want a little pick or something. Be careful not to damage this one. This actually isn't a moving O-ring, so we're just going to pull this one off. Now once I've pulled that one off, I can push this out and that will come off as well. And you can see there's an O-ring in an outer O-ring here, and then another inner O-ring here. Set that off to the side for now too as well. So there it is, disassembled. I'm just going to get the bulk of this off here with some paper towel before I start degreasing everything. It's easier for me to get the bulk off here now. I'm going to pull one more O-ring off of here. I said you're going to want a little pick or something to get these off. They are kind of hard to get in there and get out. trying to clean some of the bulk up of this too as well before I go to my degreaser. Pull the O-rings out of this. Okay. Okay, we've disassembled all our O-rings off of here, placed them all over here in the thing. Now there's going to be, as you can see here, we're still 2 O-rings short. So we're going to go digging for those 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the base of the tool off here. Remove the base. Let's make sure you remember which way that orientates. You're going to need a 10 mil wrench for this. What we're also going to do here is we're going to remove these 3 little O-rings that hold our trigger mech in. So start from the bottom. Don't worry if you lose one, there's new ones in your kit. We're going to pop these pins out the bottom. There's 2 short ones and the long one is in the top. And there's a spring in here you want to watch that you don't lose that spring. It's your trigger mechanism spring. There's our trigger. Now what we're going to do is there's a piece here. We're going to pop this out. Now there's a little notch. The notch has to be to the front, so remember that when you go to assemble it again. Now we're going to try this. This is really tight. They're Loctited in quite well. It can take a bit to get out, so you're going to need a good Allen ratchet. The impact driver will speed it up for us to bring it up. Make sure to remember the orientation of this when it comes off. Make sure it's up towards the tool. You can always check in your manual that come with the thing. It has a description of components and how they should all be placed. Pop this off. Here is our last 2 little O-rings here. There's one here. There's a very, very skinny one. There's our little pick. Pop that one off. Next component we're going to take out is our trigger mechanism. This you're going to need a drift for. I need a drift just small enough to fit in there. And I got 2 little roll pins that I'm going to have to drive out. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to give them a couple pretty good smacks to get them to come out. Now you don't need to take these all the way out, just enough that it's going to clear past the Okay, now I have those roll pins out so they're clear of the ledge on this. I'm just going to go inside, use my same thing here and just give that a slight, see in there? just the back of it, you're just going to give it a slight tap. And just pop it out the front. And that'll come out all in one assembly unit. And your replacement is all in one assembly unit as well. So we've popped that unit out. Now we have one last O-ring, which is actually in under here. And we'd have to take all this off to get to it. So what we need to do is need to get this fitting off. So take off whatever air fitting we have on there. Oh, I'm going to get lucky. It's going to come off with my air fitting. There is actually a nut underneath there as well, but we got lucky and it came off with our air fitting. Again, grab our O-ring thing. We're going to take that O-ring off. There's our last O-ring. So there we go. We have all our O-rings out. Now we've gone along and they actually send you this piece of paper with your kit, and it allows you to match up your O-rings that are in the package. Now you have to watch the number 15s and the number 21s and the number 76s are very similar. So make sure you match them for size because they will fit their right size. You'll kind of notice the ring size here. So make sure you match them up. The 21s and 15s are kind of hard to pair between the difference. But just take your time and make sure you get them to fit the right size. So now that we have all these disassembled, we have to do some component cleaning. We want to make sure we clean all our internal pieces and get them all nice and clean. So I'm going to put on a pair of gloves here. I mean, if you have a solvent tank or something at home, you can use that for cleaning up if you want. We're just going to do it simple terms here. So this is a can of pass-load degreaser. This is available either through us or at most hardware stores. So this can be used to clean this tool as well as our cordless tool. So I'm just going to grab a container here to do some cleaning in. I do have a little scrub brush here, a little old toothbrush that I can use to clean out some stuff. And you want to use this in a well-ventilated area. So I'm just going to spray a bunch of this degreaser in there. Work it all through the system, let it do its job a little bit here. Just scrub any of the extra crap off of here. Letting those other ones soak a little bit just for the degreaser to work its way in. All of this grime in here, a lot of it's just compressor contamination and dust and stuff that's getting in the system, mixing with the oil. And so, I mean, some of this is just a regular cleaning maintenance stuff. We want to make sure we get it cleaned out as clean as possible, just like servicing any engine. We got all our components cleaned. All cleaned, and we laid them out so they could dry, so they're all dry. It doesn't take very long for the degreaser to dry off. So we're done with our degreaser. We're going to grab our pass-load lubricating oil, pneumatic lubricating oil now, and we're going to start putting our new O-rings back on everything and then assembling the tool back again. So I'm just going to start with, start left to right here. So we have our schematic here that I can go through. If you don't know where they go, you can go through and figure out which one is which. So on this, we're going to need, I believe it's a 21. So that's our 21 here. So that's the one I got to put right down into this groove here. Fit. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little oil in as I go, just to make sure I have. This oil is available through us as well, or in most places that sell pass-load products. Okay, so we're putting the 24 on the ring. Put a little oil on it. lubed well all the way around. Slides down like that. So I'm going to make sure that these little things are to the bottom. This is actually the bottom. And then we're going to take this piece here and we're going to put it on. This is our 22. And those little holes. So there. Okay, that one's assembled. I'm going to do the piston now, which is 18. This one's quite small, so you want to be careful with this one. And it goes in there. So that one's assembled up. This one pops inside. And there's two that go on the outside. Okay, now I have all my O-rings assembled. Spring goes in there. This little poppet here pops down inside. Now put this bottom piece on. This is where I want to make sure that I don't lose that little O-ring. It has to make sure that that O-ring is aligned with that hole. So you see the hole here? We want this O-ring to align with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set it on like this, and then I'll set it back down. So that's the position that's orientated in. Now I've already put Loctite on these bolts, re-Loctited them. So we need to put this back on. Remember, those go up like that for your handle. Assemble these back in. We're just going to use our little tool quick here. Now you don't want to tighten. I'm just going to snug these up with the tool. And I'll finish tightening it down with it is into aluminum housing, so you don't want to torque it too hard with the tool. I'm going to go ahead and put my trigger mech back, my new trigger mech in. With this, I want to make sure I lubricate really well. Make sure everything's good and lubricated in it. I'm going to give this some lubrication before I assemble it. Now, this doesn't matter how it goes in. These pins actually go through this slot to hold it in. So this can be dropped in any orientation. Don't worry about aligning it or anything. Just push it in like that till it's flush. And then we're going to go here now. We'll put these pins back in. So that's our trigger mechanism back in. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the bottom of the deck back on again. So to do that, remember this little piece here. So I can see here that this has no wear, so I know that's the downside, and I wanted that little notch to the front. This component goes back on like that. Okay, this piece I had left my thing in, my bolts in, but you want to make sure that this little slot here, this goes to the back. This little slot goes up. We're going to put a little dab of blue Loctite on these. This one has a Nylux lock nut on it, so you don't need to put any Loctite on it. Okay, now we're going to assemble our trigger mechanism. Now this little piece here, you want this flat plate down. It's right here, right here. So you'll see your pieces. It's kind of hard to tell in the picture, but you want this little flat plate down, and this goes in behind it. So what we're going to do, start off with, is we're going to take our long bolt. We'll flip this over. I'm going to take this piece, put it up in here. It's a little tricky, you got to get the hole lined up. Get that one through. This one I'm going to bring up. And our last pin goes through there. You take this piece here, slide your driver down. Make sure the lines up this way. This comes in here, that bolt goes in there. And we have our pins in. The mechanism is working. So press, hit trigger, everything works. Now we want to take these little guys here, came in our kit. We're going to pop those on to hold those pins in place. Now, I would suggest keeping your extras that came out of your kit just as backups in case you ever lose those. Not secured in. So now our trigger mechanism is put back together. We're going to go back up here and we'll start on the assembly of the engine itself. So now, bumper plate, stopper. So this is actually, you can see here, this is the assembly. So this piece goes in first in the bottom, this piece goes in with it. We're going to drop that down in the bottom. Again, there's no real orientation that really matters there. Now we have this piece here. I'm going to lubricate this up really well. I'm going to put our piston in. Again, we're going to lubricate it up really well. I'm actually going to pour a little oil even in the tube here to make sure the piston's nice and lubed. You're going to line it up down in the hole. So you can see we want our groove to the front. So we'll put our groove in there. And you got to kind of wiggle it. So I'm going to lift it up and just show you. So right here you got to lift it so that you just got to wiggle it so that piston will come through. There we go. Now it's come down, right? Now we can stroke our piston down, stroke it back up. I'm going to do that a few times and I'm just going to add a little more lube in here. Just get it nicely moving smoothly back and forth. Up and down. So there's my piston installed now. Now I can put this on back cap on the top now. Now I'm going to come over here to this piece. This is the head. Again, we want to make sure we lube this up really, really well. If you see here, it's hard to tell, but there is a little square on each of those, and there's a square down in there. I'm going to make sure that those line up so that those actually fit into this thing. So it seats right down in there, and you want to make sure that that poppet's all the way down, and that's fully seated down into that. So now we're going to take this, I'm just going to give my bolts a little bit of Loctite on them. Again, just a little blue Loctite. Take my gasket, I put my gasket on there. Again, make sure that's over that hole, make sure that hole's open. Set this down on top. You got to push it down just a little bit to seat it. I usually just get one started. So take a little bit of pressure. Two down. Don't tighten them all the way down until you get all four in. Last thing we're going to do is put our, make sure that's pushed up all the way, put our driver plate cover back on. That should be good to go. Okay, now that we've assembled our gun, we've hooked it up to air, grabbed ourselves a log here to give it a test fire, and we're just going to fire some rounds and make sure everything works.